Okay. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Inside Roundtable. We have a very interesting topic today. Today we'll be discussing mostly about headless HR systems, and we'll understand the benefits and basics of headless HR systems. So today we have two very special guests, two very senior leaders from the world of talent acquisition and human resources. So let me introduce to you first Harish. Harish is the associate director of TA at Strive. Sorry, he's a seasoned professional with around a decade of experience in tech recruitment and talent acquisition. So, hey Harish, hi, welcome to the episode of the Inside Roundtable. Lovely to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
Great. Now we have Ramit Tyagi, who is the director and talent acquisition at UKG, where he spearheads recruitment across India and APAC regions. So Ramit is a very seasoned leader with a couple of decades of experience, and has been very like held high in the strategic talent initiatives that shape the technology sector. So Ramit, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great.
Thank you, Subhajit, and pleasure to be here along with Harish. So looking forward to some good connection and good interaction. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Lovely. So let's start off with the questions. Ramit, we can go with you first. Tell us about your journey from childhood to becoming the leader which you are today.
Yeah, thank you, Subhajit. So I belong to a small town called Roorkee, which is in Uttarakhand, and I'm sure all of us would have heard about IIT Roorkee. So that's where I was born. But my dad was in the army, so I kept on moving from places to places. I've done all my schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya. I've spent a lot of time of my childhood and schooling in the northeastern part of India. So I've been to Ladakh, Sikkim, Mizoram, Arunachal, Assam. I've actually spent my childhood all there, in those places. And then I went for a graduation in computer science to North India, a college under Kurukshetra University. And when I graduated, with a lot of programming skills on language which do not exist anymore in the market. So I learned programming on Fortran, COBOL, Pascal, Unix, and I'm sure not many people would not even heard about them. By the time I hit the market, there was a bubble burst and I could not get a job. So I started selling computers. So I would really go door to door, office to office, and on a bike in the scorching summer of New Delhi, I'll keep on selling those computers and laptops were a new thing in India in those days. So that was like 2 decades back, more than 2 decades back. And because I got so bored of running on the roads under this hot summer of Delhi, I thought, why don't should I look for a job which lets me sit in an AC? And that's how I got into recruitment. So my first job was with a company called Artec. I was their first recruiter in India. And in those days, recruiter was a new thing because HR would do everything in terms of hiring and talent acquisition. So I was from the very first initial breed of TAs. What I would call it as in the first 3 months of mine, I was the only recruiter sitting all alone in a huge office for 3 months. That's how I got into it, and from there, this is a journey. So I work for all small, big, great companies, small companies. But right now, I work for world's largest HR tech product SaaS
Mhm.
company,
Mhm.
and we have got customers in 170 countries. About more than 80,000 companies use our products, every single day.
Great. Great, lovely to have you, Ramit, and it was great knowing you about your early life and how you came into the TNHR world. So I'll move on to Harish. So Harish, tell us about your journey from childhood to becoming the leader which you're today.
Thank you so much, Ramit. That's an interesting or inspiring story. I would say a lot of takeaways. But again, like Ramit said, I'm from Chennai, but that's not my hometown. I'm from a very small city in Tamil Nadu. I born there. Both my father and both my parents were teachers. Though from day one there was a pressure on me to get good marks, score percentage, so on and so forth. But I was a very shy person during my school days, an average person, someone who was not great or an excellent in studies, making it at an average level. And then after my schooling got over, I completed my BSc Computer Science. Of course, getting knowing about computers, programming was a fascinating thing. It was way back in 2007, I joined my BSc Computer Science and successfully completed in 2009. Then I thought, okay, this programming is not my cup of tea. Then I thought, it's maybe I can try my luck in management. So I came to Chennai. The person from small town always come wanted to come to Chennai and do the best and be a part of a bigger city, right? So I came to Chennai to do my masters. Great learnings, because apart from the learnings what I got in my college, I would say that city had taught me a lot, right? New
Mm.
people, new culture, how motivated people were. So during my MBA, to be very honest, I wanted to get into marketing or systems, but HR was the option given to us, and yeah, I thought, okay, let me try my, like, how it works. And after my college, then I started my career in a recruitment firm, because I somehow felt, starting as a recruiter is the initial point in any HR professional's career, right? Because that is the base for any process. Recruitment is the base, right? I thought, okay, I'll start my career in recruitment. I joined in a consulting firm, learned the ABCs of recruitment way back in 2011. That
Okay.
time things were different. People are carrying hard copies of resume, submitting things, so on and so forth.
Mm.
So now almost 13 years in this space, I've seen different transformation of this industry going in the last 13 years, and everywhere I mean there were some great learnings, right? But I always say my colleagues of peers, I didn't choose HR chose me. Right? That's how I am here.
Okay. Great. Lovely knowing you, guys, Harish and Ramit. So let's start off the next question. So we'll continue with Harish on this. So, Harish, are there any ethical concerns which you think which are associated with the increased use of automation and integrated systems in talent acquisition?
There are few. Probably I would call it one by one. One is about the system being slightly biased,
Hmm.
because if you take any AI model nowadays, that are trained by some data, right?
Hmm.
So when the system is already trained on a certain data, and if the system is going to reflect the same amount of output, then there will be a certain number of bias which will happen. To give you an example from a recruitment standpoint, for one role, if the resume the talents are going to apply 1,000 resumes, and if
Hmm.
there are standard parameters that are set to shortlist the resume, the system will just do with that, right? They will not go for primary skill, secondary skill. Probably they'll see the primary skill and
Hmm.
they'll shortlist the resume. So there, of course, there is a challenge which we are facing. We might lose a good pool of talent there.
Hmm.
The other one is understanding the human emotions, I would say. Now we have chatbots who does interviews, but certain things can't be predicted by them. So there'll be a set of questions they can ask the questions in different modulations, different languages, but understand the human's pain point, emotions is something not there in the system, is what I would say.
Okay. So, Ramit, what are your thoughts on this? About the ethical concerns which is likely to be associated with the increased use of automation and integrated systems in the TA world.
So Harish, I think very correctly pointed this out. System, it only works on an data that you feed to it,
Mm.
and then it actually gets its own intelligence on the distance that you make from the output that you get from the system. It will
Mm.
have its own learning, and we have seen that. I think there was a big company which started putting, a tool at a place for certain level of hiring, and when the initial few hires were, white people, it on its own started, letting go the black people, assuming that it's doing a favor to the decision making or the organization. So we have seen those kind of examples, and I know that system will only go by the preference that it keeps on building on the previous use cases. So as long as the system helps you stay a fair and unbiased, I think it's still a help. But you need to be very sure that what you're feeding into the system and how much leverage do you really keep with yourself when you let the system take decisions for you. So system should give you the data points, but the wisdom of making those decisions should remain with the humans. And I think the next part what Harish again picked up is it can never create the experience you can create with the human touch. So
Mm.
especially when you talk about hiring, you could take care of the transactions and the operational stuff, or maybe the initial screening, but can't you cannot create the right experience, which I think at least for India as a region, everybody is very fond of.
Great. Um, I think I completely resonate with that. Like we love talking. Like whenever we also call, so say any customer care, we love talking to a person rather than a robo or a IVR. Like so, similarly, I think human touch should be there. So, Ramit, like I will continue with Ramit on this. Like, does the push towards innovative technologies like headless systems or a lot of auto-generated AI or self-generated AI risk overshadowing the importance of human judgment in the case of talent acquisition?
It does as a perception, but it all depends on
Okay.
how much freedom are we giving to the systems and tools to decide on our behalf. So while they could take care of the initial, screening and, initial interface with a candidate or a customer or a external stakeholder, but somewhere somebody needs to get in touch as a person, as a human being. I'll give you an example. Many a time we call up a bank. So you may enjoy the first few things where they say, oh, press one for this, press two for this. When it
Hmm.
goes beyond certain time, you want somebody to come and speak to you. So that's how I think humans are designed. And finally, we look for a human touch, human emotion somewhere. And system definitely will help us speed up on the basic, repetitive task. And it can maybe help us parse those resumes better, do the initial screening better. Even so, it should be a input to our better decision making. I'm sure we'll not let it decide because it only can work on the previous test cases or use cases, while you would want to take it for the recent ones, which may not even be fed into the tool as a input.
Okay, great. So, Harish, like, what are your thoughts on this? I think Ramit has spoken of how much freedom we give to the systems to decide what is better for us. So, what do you think about the push towards innovative technologies like headless systems? Do they actually risk overshadowing the importance of human judgment in today's world?
Uh, there will be a certain level of impact, I would say, but what Ramit said is a valid point. End of the day, it boils down to what we decide, what kind of measurement we are keeping for the system in our screening process. But if there is a AI generated report about a candidate, there is a perception created. I'll be very honest, right? Because the system will say this person lacked here, this person had a low confidence, this person for XYZ reason, because that analyzes a person top to bottom, starting from the facial reactions and the eyeball movements, the tone of language. Too many things are being analyzed. Right?
Hmm.
So during that scenario, when there is a report in front of us which stating, okay, this person is 50% like this and 50% sounds like low in confidence, a perception automatically will be created in our mind, and it's very hard to break. Right. So when we are going with certain perceptions, of course, the impact is slightly high, and assuming right when we are getting a average feedback from a AI generated report for a candidate, and if we are pushing that candidate based on our assumption to the next level and hiring that person as an employee, tomorrow in case if the person is not doing well in the system, then there are chances as a TA person you will also be questioned, right? When the system has given report, what made you to take such calls? So
Hmm.
it's basically up to the hiring managers, particular teams hiring managers, to decide how we are going to see this report and what parameters we are going to consider. But of course, there is a certain percentage of impact which will definitely have in any one of our mind. That's how the human tendency also works.
Okay, so so Harish, we talked about this analysis of every aspect, like watching the pupils and the face reaction and what the person is trying to do. So, how do you think this, how customizable are these headless HR systems in terms of aligning with specific organization needs or specific strategies of recruitment?
It is pretty much customizable. Basically, whatever we want to make changes in the back end, of course, we have an option to do that. It's the framework can also be changed. We can also say this is how our organization operates, and this is the process we follow. And given the luxury to for the API integration into the system, right? So definitely the customization definitely works, and end of the day, it's an individual or a company to decide how much we are going to adapt to them.
Okay, Ramit, your thoughts on this? Harish is on the fact that it's pretty customizable and can be molded to the organization needs. So, what are your thoughts? Like, how customizable have you seen this headless HR systems?
So that
In
is the main essence, and I think the main feature of a headless HR system, because it is not bound by certain limited
Hmm,
interfaces and front end, technologies or tools, right? It's purely driven by APIs, and
hmm,
you have a better, flexibility to plug it. It's more of, I mean, that's how those
plug and play.
ERPs are lagging behind. If you ask me as an example, and what
Hmm,
you have is are all those cloud-based software as a service solutions which are pretty much customizable. Like, define how it should look like for your organization or for some other one. There is no predefined, preset, standardized interface which should fit into all sizes. So they are pretty good
hmm,
from a front end and from a flexibility module. While I think it also gives it more flexibility to the back end and the middleware. And
okay.
only thing is you need to keep on updating it. It can't be just one size created once and can be ran forever. So it's a pretty agile, flexible, and constantly evolving model is what I think the future is moving to. It looks like, yeah.
Okay, so like talking of agile and talking of flexible systems. So, what do you think like the long-term impacts do you anticipate in this heritage systems will have on the talent acquisition professional?
So, okay, I'll start. So I think this will become a major part of our hiring process,
Okay.
except for the key decision making and giving us enough data points to take a decision. We'll have to ensure that we again don't miss out on the human interface and the human touch part of it. But people are getting used to it. If you ask me, in the pandemic, we all learned how to hire without meeting somebody. While we also learned after 2 more years that the quality was not the same that we would have done otherwise, right? So we all knew how those people would take those digital classes and digital training and cultural assimilation. We all knew the output, right? But that time it was more about sustaining it, right? Surviving it. But was there enough growth attached to it? That's what we are actually seeing right now. So it's going to be a mix of technology and humanity. I mean, human touch and intervention. And I think
Hmm.
that's going to be the right combination. And Harish can add further for sure.
Sure. Like over to you,
Yeah.
Harish. Yeah.
So, like Ramit pointed out, one thing which is a common concern, which is pointed on any HR professional is, or a TA professional is not giving feedback, or there is a no response, so on and so forth. But that is something slightly can be changed because of this AI. Now, when you are uploading your resume in a career portal and you are getting frequent updates, you can see the timelines. My resume is at the screening stage. My resume is at the interview stage, so on and so forth. So, in case if you are not being shortlisted as well, there is a fair bit of option to see the feedback. At least I know it's not a generated feedback, but you will not wait for that, right? So that way, the candidate experience, there is a boost in candidate experience. I would say nowadays people are more like very comfortable in using mobile to apply for a job, so they don't have time to sit and type the information. So how they do on Instagram or something. When your career portal is more customizable, if they can add resumes quickly, right? That candidate experience is something has increased a lot. And then in terms of analytics, now recruitment is not only about numbers; it's about the analytics as well. Now, whenever any TA professional is going for a meeting to a stakeholders, they should have some analytics within them. So this engine will give you the analytics whatever it's needed. Yeah.
Great. So we'll move on to the next part. I think we have a lot of new insights from both of the HR leaders, TA leaders here. So we'll move on to the next part, which is the audience question. So I'll ask a question, and anyone, if you can take, or both of you can take the question. So one of the users asked us, like, how do headless HR systems impact the candidate experience from application to onboarding, and what are the improvements or drawbacks can you think of? So Ramit or Harish, anyone can answer both.
So Harish just talked about it, but I think, and that's what the industry is moving to. A lot of focus is actually moving on candidate experience, and not just candidate, but even the entire stakeholders who are involved in any hiring, for their experience. So a hiring manager can have a look at the candidate experience, entire talent pipeline, its progress, and the dashboard and reporting through the systems, as well as Hari just talked about, the candidate feels good even though they get an automated response. They also feel good when they see automated assessment then and there, which says, or we all feel good when we see a LinkedIn job posting which says, oh, you matched 90% of this role.
Hmm.
So a lot of things coming through a tool, coming through technology, but we feel good because there's a lot of positivity and experience that can be customized and generated, and a lot of people analytics and data, as for again that's again a input to our decision making in the future, because hiring manager would know what part of my talent pipeline is coming from a referral, from a vendor, what worked well last time, what did not work last time, as well as both the candidate and the hiring manager and the recruiter know what time is it take at each stage of hiring. So a lot of inputs which were not available previously. You would believe that recruiters are the worst at managing data, and inputting data into the tools, because they just want to move things very fast, feel good
Hmm.
when somebody joins. But if somebody would ask them to punch in data to the system, I think that's what I've seen that is the most toughest thing for a recruiter. So I think that's what is being solved, if you ask me, through these machines and tools and automation. Harish, yeah.
Oh,
So that's an interesting point. The recruiters always have challenges when it comes to data, but again, the system what we have is trying to solve that. So now, with one click, you'll be able to get the analytics what you want, right? Be it
hmm.
in terms of demographics or gender or race, so on and so forth. So that in that way, it helps the candidate experience. It makes the process seamless and little fast as well. But on the other side, there are some technical blockers, right? Of course, not every time the system will also work 100% efficiently. If there are some technical blockers, that will have an impact and will of course stop the hiring process or will have an impact or reduction in the process. And when we are talking too much about AI, we're talking about one particular sector. Maybe that will stick to technology or IT or to an analytics, right? But when there's a wider spectrum, so when you're hiring for an automobile industry or a manufacturing or some other segment where they don't have much hands-on experience with these new technologies, then obviously they will struggle. So this is more like a customized one where the company should decide which will suit for us, and accordingly they should take this.
Okay, great. So we have the next question from Lokesh from Bangalore. So he asked that how can TA specialists leverage the data collected by these systems, like headless systems, to make more informed hiring decisions?
So I'll give an example. Okay, so a recruiter typically would love to jump on a job portal, put a search, get the first CV, speak to him, and those three lovely questions, right? Are you looking out for a change? Your current salary and expected salary. I think those were the traditional days of hiring, right? But what I've seen that recruiters of this age, if they don't use the data and technology to their advantage, they'll always struggle as a recruiter, because the industry and everything has moved so fast. So that's what I keep on telling my team, that you got to go targeted on your search. If you're still doing 10 interviews to get one selection, something is wrong in the way we understood the requirement, or the way we understood the candidate or the profile. So with past data, I'll give an example that you can go through your entire last year's data. It will even tell you that which company should you target for a better joining ratio, which
Hmm.
company should you target for a better diversity ratio, which company should you target for a more economical hiring. I mean, we never had that kind of access in the past. Nobody would want to go through those, create those Excels and get an output through those Excels. Now everything comes in a part of the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you want to take it up, or like I think Ramit?
Yeah. So see,
Yeah.
recruitment is nowadays slightly changed. It's more about quality, not about quantity. Nowadays, the hiring manager also very specific that how many people they want to screen, how many resumes, because time is more important for
Yeah,
them,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And recruiters are acting as a strategic advisor or a
Hmm.
stakeholder for them rather than a recruiter. They should
Hmm.
understand the pulse of hiring manager and start providing such resumes for them. Right? So these analytics, whatever Ramit was trying to say, target companies or target competitors, which pay range, and there are few scenarios where we also get a deep dive on location as well. Which location we are more poor,
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
is the cost range they are coming in, because if you compare, Bangalore will be expensive for certain roads, and then
Hmm.
Hyderabad, Chennai, comparisons flow, right? So
Hmm.
these data will definitely help any TA professional to take a very strategic data driven decisions. At the same time, they can also understand what is not going well for them. For example, if there are too many offer declines, right,
Hmm.
they can go back to the data and see what kind of talents are declining. They can get some data insights around that. And for a particular post or particular role, if too many people are not applying, whether our sourcing platform, is it a right one or not, is it right to post this job in LinkedIn or this job in Naukri, right? So these analytics will help us to streamline the process which is existing. That will, of course, I mean, will accelerate or make the betterment of the complete TA cycle, is what my.
Understood. So, like, completely understand with like all the facts. I think so. What we have also built in Instahire is very similar to what you are talking about. So we work with like many of the tech companies like Google, Amazon, all these folks. They all work with us. So what we have also done is very similar to Ramit and Harish. What you are telling, that offer declines is one of the things. One of the things we have worked on. Also, the different key pointers like salaries and where to hire. I think where do they hire, and we have devised a system which was like, we devised it around 7 years back, and is uh, going under training also the last 7 years with millions of data, where we can help the recruiter find out where traditionally, like say 10 years 12 years down the line, where companies have been hiring for this kind of roles, and which company should be targeted, and what kind of candidates will make it through the second round. So all these things are put into one place, and they get the recommendations. So I completely understand so how you guys are thinking on this. And now we move on to the next part, which is the job flex or the candidate part. So we are a marketplace where we have both candidates and recruiters from different companies and heads. This is a question as a candidate. So you can help a candidate by answering this. So the question is, and it's for both of you. So how to frame a response for what do you want to work with us? Why do you want to work with us? Why do you want to work with us, or why join us? So your response is how people can tackle this question with the folks.
I'll start. I'll take a stab, on this. So I think while a lot of things have changed from a recruiter's perspective, there are still candidates who just talk about the job or maybe just money. We would want
Hmm.
people to talk about careers, because in the long run, if they don't stick to a job for at least 2 or 3 years, and those days of pandemic when everybody would just get sold at the highest price in the market and change a job in 6 months, 9 months, I think what everybody is moving to is a more deeper, intense experience of learning. Whether you go for a small company or a bigger company, doesn't matter. So look for a career instead of a job. Does it mean for a candidate is, if your future goals, future aspirations, and your own capabilities, and persona does not align to that particular company's culture and the particular profile, don't go for it just because somebody is paying more money, because I think it doesn't work if money is the only driving factor, whether for leaving a company or joining a company. So look for a longer picture, for a far, what do you want to become that this company can help you out with. So go with a very good homework, go with what does this role entail and all about. Where the was this role a replacement or a new one? Is it a growth or a replacement? And when you actually been through the interview, do check, would you feel happy being a part of that team and working with that interviewer or not. Some basics or some values which is beyond money and beyond just the JD part of it. And I'm sure Harish can
Okay.
maybe add on more to this. Yeah.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
I think
So
yeah. Harish, please go ahead, please.
So one thing, right? I mean, the basics are very important. Understanding the company, what kind of business they are doing, that will help us probably during the discussion with any of the hiring manager or the TA professional. We can talk about why they are interested in this role. Right? There are thousands of companies with similar job roles, but they can say why specific, what is something they like about this role, and what they know about this organization or about this particular role, because that will give an impression to the hiring manager or a recruiter that okay, this X person has done the groundwork, and he's not someone who's just trying or applying for an offer here. That will also show that commitment towards that job. Uh, right? And then what is the unique thing you can bring onto the table? What values you can bring onto the table? These are the things which, as a as an individual you can highlight, so that that will help you to crack that important question.
Great. So I think Ramit and Harish, we have helped a lot of candidates like with this question, and we move on to the next part, which is a very fun round which we have devised. It's known as rapid fire, and we have around a bunch of 6, 7 questions for both of you. So my questions are ready. So let me know who will go first.
Like I've been going first.
Yeah, I'm okay to be next. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, Ramit. Let's start it with you then. So Ramit, first question for you is early bird or night owl? Which title suits you best?
I'm an early bird, coming from a military background. I still wake up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. That gives me more time in the same day and a very fresh,
Yeah.
energetic start to my day. I think, and I'm the eldest son of three brothers, and I'm the only one who's taken this from my dad. So
Okay.
I think it's a tough thing, but it really gives a good start to your day. So for me, it's an early bird, yeah.
Great. Choose anyone. Unlimited work stamina or instant skill acquisition superpower.
Unlimited work stamina, I would say.
Okay, great. The next question is most unusual place you have conducted an interview.
I've done them in lifts. I've done them on the staircases, and I was doing a drive at Taj Banjara, Hyderabad, and
Mm,
the entire somebody really leaked our so it was a QA drive, and
uh,
one of my recruiters sent a mass mail to the entire population in Hyderabad for a QA role. You
uh,
won't believe I had, instead of 150 candidates, I had some 700 people in Taj Hyderabad, Taj Banjara. Firstly, they
okay.
complained to us, you have spoiled the entire decorum of our 5 star. And then
Mm,
I was sitting beside a lake and screening the people who were standing in a long queue inside. So it could happen. I think a recruiter can hire anywhere, right? I do that in metros. I could do it anywhere. I've done it in car as well, because so I think a recruiter has to hire whatever it takes. Yeah.
okay, great. If you could be a sidekick for any superhero, who would it be?
And I'm not a big fan of superheroes. Probably I'll skip that question to Ramit.
So I'll be a Hanuman for Ram, right? I think Hanuman has been the best sidekick for, I think, Indian superheroes, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, yeah. So, Ramit, next question for you is what do you think about AI threat opportunity and why?
I don't think there is any threat. I think, see, I read a report somewhere. AI is a supplement to our lives and performance and work. So it's just like a Google map, which only makes you reach faster, gives you more time after reaching, right? It was never a threat. Like we had typewriters, then we moved to computers and printers. Now everything is PDF, right? You don't even print anymore. So this
Mm,
is technology making us more productive on a day-to-day basis. And I think the world is going to be only cut into two halves. One that creates AI, the other one that uses AI. There's going to be no third type. So better we adopt to it and use it to our betterment and better performance instead of taking it as a threat.
great. So, last question: if you could work from anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Himalayas.
Okay, great.
I'm a mountain person. Yeah.
Ramit, your answer on this?
I think my favorite place in the entire world is Leh Ladakh. I just love that place. I've been there when my dad was posted there. I've been there many times with my teams, with my family, with my friends. That's one place I never get enough of it. I just love that place.
Lovely. So, a few questions for Harish also for the rapid fire round. The next round is for Harish. So, Harish, what is your last thing you do before you go to sleep?
I will script something. I'm like I wanted to write on how my day went or something,
Acha.
or I listen to music. It depends on the day. If it is a weekend, probably I listen to music, and if it's a weekday, to keep myself productive, I'll do something. Maybe I'll script. Yeah.
Okay. Best hiring advice you have ever received?
Hiring. See, I will not best hiring advice. I would say one thing that always motivates me as a recruiter is one advice I got from one of my mentor. He told me this, right. This always strikes my mind. A recruitment profession should be regarded high, because when you are born, you are given a birth by a doctor,
Hmm.
and you are being entire. I mean, you are enlightened by a teacher when you are studying. So once you're out of the college, recruiter is the first person who hands the job offer to you. right? So that person makes an impact. So irrespective of the comments, whatever that happens after getting experience, but my thing is everyone will remember the first recruiter,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay,
that is something I always keep in my mind. That is something pushes me to be in this profession.
great. Similar question to Ramit. If you could be a sidekick for any superhero, who would it be?
I think I answered that. I
I
think
just
I
yeah, I
don't.
just answered for that.
Okay, okay, you have answered. That's well. Okay.
Yeah, but I can add on to what Harish was saying, and I think I'll tell you. For me, recruitment, and I think very common to what Harish said. For me, why I love this job, and I've been doing that for 22 years. Even now, when my team gets stuck somewhere, I
Mm,
roll up my sleeves and tell them, this is how you search for the right candidate. For me, it's like if there's a role created, there would be a candidate somewhere. You should just know how to find that out, and how
mm,
to convince your stakeholder that he is the right or most closest fit for your role. And for me, as Harish said, recruitment is a good karma for me, to be honest with
mm,
you. And for me, it's like I'm helping my company grow better by getting the right talent, which is the main asset or wealth for any software company. Secondly, for every candidate, I'm helping them go for a better career, better life, a better bread and butter as well. So when I
okay,
go back to sleep in the night, I feel very happy if I've done a good job
That
on
is
that particular day.
correct.
great. Lovely. So, next question: one trend in HR or talent acquisition which you are excited about this year?
Uh, so of course it's about the branding in the social media, right? So we are slowly coming out of that portal thing, and then the other portals are also slightly picking up. So now the posting on LinkedIn, or there are chances I can see postings on Instagram as well. That is something fascinating, and eventually we'll be there. Of course, certain percentage already started to do, but that is something I'm always fascinated about. Looking forward.
Uh, Ramit, your take? Anything on this?
So I think there was always a high focus on quality of hiring, but what I love and like right now is there's a lot of focus moving back to experience. And when I say experience, it's just not about candidate experience, but even for a hiring manager experience and even for a recruiter's experience. So a lot of automation is happening because you want to make the life of your recruitment team better,
Hmm.
which was never the focus. I've never seen that in the past, but I think it's getting intense with all great companies right now.
Lovely. So, the last question for Harish. The last rapid fire question: what was your first job?
Uh, that was my internship job. I mean,
Okay.
just to tell you, during my MBA college, I thought I'll do some part time. I joined a call center. It was an
Hmm.
US outbound call center. I was there for a while, maybe some 3 to 4 months, to get some money to manage my
Okay.
expenses during my college. So that was my first job. But again, there were a lot of takeaways from that.
Hmm.
How to
Great.
interact with customer, how to convince them. That also helped me as a recruiter
Yeah,
once I
yeah,
started
yeah.
my career full time.
Great. So, with that, I come to the close of the session, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, Ramit and Harish. And thank you for being such a sport and coming from your busy schedule and helping all the folks who have joined us today. And will this will help a lot of folks who will be seeing it later today or tomorrow. So, I hope you loved it. I loved it myself. So, thank you, Ramit. Thank you, Harish, for taking a time out and joining me.
Thank you, Sabujit.
Thank
And I
you.
think, yeah, and I think I'll just close this with a comment that if you want to be a recruiter, I mean, you got to love your job and have fun while you recruit. I mean, it can get very stressful if you just want to be a hardworking guy, right? Or when I say guy, it's a common term, but be a smart recruiter, somebody who thinks ahead of the time, and be an expert to your business. Don't just be a follower. That's what I'll say. Then you'll have a fun ride for sure.
Lovely.
But thank you for having
Great
us.
talk.
Thank you. Connect with
Thank you.
Harish.
Thank you,
Great.
Sabajit.
Yeah. Thank
Sure,
you.
Amit. Nice to